Hello, my name is Alan, and welcome to my presentation about IELTS. So, what should I call you? Young leaders? Okay, well, yeah, so first I would like to welcome and I would like to say congratulations that you joined this kind of group discussion. Okay, let's just start. So, many of you might have this kind of questions about what is IELTS and what to do in IELTS, right? Okay, so let me introduce my name first. My name is Alan Rilo Pambudi. Okay, but you can just call me Alan. It's okay. And then now we are going to talk about what IELTS stands for. Some of you might have this kind of questions like, what is actually IELTS? So, IELTS itself stands for International English Language Testing System. Okay, but then some of you also have got some questions. So, what is actually the basic difference between IELTS and TOEFL? Okay, so here we're going to talk about IELTS and TOEFL. Or if you have some questions like, what should I take? It is IELTS or TOEFL? Well, basically, it depends on your institutions. I mean, normally people take this kind of English proficiency test for a kind of requirement for the scholarship, or if you are going to work in some companies, then you need this kind of test. So actually it depends. If some people ask me, so what is the best, or which one is better, is it IELTS or TOEFL? Actually it depends on the institution. If your institution requires you to take the IELTS test, then you take the IELTS test. If your institution or your company requires you to take the TOEFL test, then take TOEFL. But some companies or some universities or some institutions, they allow you to take both of them, either IELTS or TOEFL. So the basic differences is actually starting from IELTS. IELTS is actually published or released by the British Council. Okay, and then some people say like, so Mr. Allen, IELTS, it means has got like British style or whatever. Yeah, actually, somehow it can be true because like in IELTS there are some accents. You can find Canadian accent, you can find American accent. No, American accent, I don't think so. No, very rare to find American accent in the IELTS questions, or maybe New Zealandese accent, Australian accents, British accent. Yeah, I mean, but the question is, when we do or we answer IELTS questions, do we have to use British accent? Actually, it's not. So you can use whatever accent you want. Okay. And then for IELTS, actually, we've got two types of IELTS tests. They are academic and general IELTS. Normally, academic IELTS is for if you want to apply for a university or yeah for academic purpose, then you take the academic IELTS. And then if you want to apply for um, job such kind of that, then you can take the general training IELTS. And then also there is this one IELTS for visa. Yeah. Normally it is in the UK. So, for example, if you want to go to the UK, for example, you are going with your husband or wife, and then yeah, sometimes you need this kind of what do we call that, like IELTS test for the immigration. But yeah, but again, it depends. I mean, like it depends on the institution. It's not always an obligation to have the IELTS certificate for going to a certain country. Okay, and then for the score range, IELTS score ranges from 0 until 9. Okay, and then let's talk about TOEFL. If IELTS is published or released by British Council, then TOEFL is actually released by ETS or English Testing System. And in TOEFL, actually, we've got in IELTS, we've got academic and also general for academic purpose and also for working or for other purposes. But in TOEFL, actually, if you have got the academic purpose, then you need to take TOEFL, or it stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. Or if you want to work, then you can take TOEIC. Okay, So test of English for international communication. And then in TOEFL, we've got IPT and PPT. Okay, so IPT, it means internet-based TOEFL. So the test is done through the internet connection. And PPT, it means paper-based. So you do the test using paper. It means like, yeah, you need to you need to hold the paper. I mean, like it's totally, what do you call that? It's totally real, like you hold the paper and everything. But the IPT, normally you have the computer and everything. Well, actually, for IPT and PPT, they have also got several differences, but we're not gonna talk about that here because we are talking about IELTS today. And then for the score range, TOEFL, for IBT, it ranges from 0 until 120. Okay. Well, for PPT, it is more or less 210 until maximum score is 670. So, um, sometimes some people are confused about what kind of test should I take. So let me tell you, if we can actually tell what kind of test that we need to take based on the score that is required. For example, um, let's say, oh, the requirement score is 550. Well, if the requirement score is 550, it means that is PPT, clearly PPT, because 550 is between the range score of PPT. But for example, okay, the minimum score is 95. Well, if it is like that, then it's pretty clear that it is actually IPT test that you need to take. But for example, the minimum score is 7, then it is clearly an IELTS test that you need to take. Okay, so basically you can tell what kind of test that you need to take based on the score or the requirements that you have to achieve, okay, or as the minimum requirement. Now, let's go back to IELTS. Some of the people ask me, so Mr. Allen, what is IELTS? Okay, or what do we do in IELTS test? Say, let's talk about what's inside IELTS. Okay, the first, it has got listening, and then after that you will have reading test, and then writing, and then the last but not the least, that is speaking. Normally for reading, for listening, reading, and writing, you will do it right after each other. So for example, after you do the listening, then you do the reading, and then you do the writing. But for the speaking, well, because in IELTS, the speaking test is actually face-to-face interview. So yeah, some people, they need to wait for another day or a little bit longer to take the speaking test because of the interviewer needs to interview each of you one by one. Okay, so you are quite lucky if you've got a break between writing and speaking because you can take a deep breath and whatever it is. Okay, well, because like in IELTS and also in TOEFL, like you do not need to be only master your English or have got English capability, but also you need to make sure that yourself is healthy and your endurance is good. Because imagine you need to do the test for hours and it is going to be tiring. Okay, for example, for IELTS, you need to take it like around 3 hours or something, so it's totally tiring. Okay, well, let's talk about that. So, talking about listening. In listening, we have got 4 sections, and in 4 sections, you're going to have 40 minutes in total for answering the questions. And then after 40 minutes is over, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers from your test book to your answer sheet. Okay, so that's why taking notes on the test book is possible, okay, and allowed. Okay, so you can take note and then you can draw whatever it is if you want. Okay, yeah, sorry, that's a kind of like, so you can do whatever what you want in the test book. It's going to be very different from TOEFL, because in TOEFL, like, you totally are not allowed to write down anything, okay, on the textbook. So the textbook should remain totally clear, okay, or clean, okay. Well, so in IELTS, you can take note and everything, but at the end, you will have the 10 minutes transferring time for transferring your answers from your textbook to your answer sheet, okay. And then for section 1 and section 2, the topics are normally about social, you think, okay. So it's very social, like how to survive in your daily life. Normally they're going to ask you about when you have conversation at the hotel or the airport, or maybe about tour or whatever it is, okay. So that's very social. Well, section 3 and section 4, they are a little bit more serious because they're talking about academic topics, okay. So topic is like lecturing, or maybe about science, or yeah, some other academic topics. But it's okay. I mean, like, you do not. And the good thing of English proficiency test is you do not need to master the subject that is asked or that is discussed in the listening or in the reading, but actually you can do it. I mean, yeah, because all the answers are actually in the question. So, for example, if they talk about history, you do not need to be a history master, but you just listen to it and then you will get the answers there. Okay, don't worry, it's okay. Although the topics are very varied. And then for section 1 and section 3, they are mostly dialogues. It means conversation between two persons. And then for section 2 and section 4, there are monologues. It means mostly only one person talking. Okay. And then about reading, in reading, that is a little bit longer than the listening, because in listening you see 40 minutes for questions and 10 minutes to transferring the answers, so it means totally 50 minutes. But in reading you will have 60 minutes in total and no transferring time. Okay, so in reading you will have 60 minutes and there are totally 3 passages and there is no transferring time. So for those 60 minutes, then you have to do all the questions in readings, and yeah, you need to transfer your answer directly to the answer sheet. Okay. And then for the difficulty of the passage, they actually gradually increase. Okay, so passage 1 is easier than passage 2, passage 2 is easier than passage 3. Okay, but it's okay. I mean, like, in the next session, if we have got, I mean, if you want to ask more about how to do the reading, then we can have the class or so there to but tips and trick about to do the, I mean, like, yeah, to do the reading questions, and also what kind of question types which are in the reading questions. Okay, and then move to the writing. Okay, in writing section you will have 60 minutes in total, and 20 minutes it is for writing task 1 and 40 minutes for writing task 2. Okay, and then task 1 is about describing chart, graph, or table or cycle in words. It means, yeah, that's writing, right? So you have to write down, or you have to describe the chart or the graph or the table or the cycle. And here it is very important because you have got to be very, very, very careful in describing the data. Okay, and then in task 2 is normally about short essay. So yeah, in task 1 you need to write down like 150 words minimally, and then in task 2 you need to write down at least 250 words, okay, for the essay. And the essay, they have got like advantages and disadvantages. They have got agree disagree, or they've got problem solution, or they've got what you call that, discussion. Yeah, the thing is, like, in writing you have to be careful with your grammar and also about your lexical resources or your vocabularies. And then yeah, be careful with your personal sentences because this is a task, so you have to write down in a very very formal way. Okay, but yeah, as I said before, like if you've got the class for the IELTS preparation, then you will have this kind of material how to write down IELTS task 1 properly and correctly, and then how to do IELTS writing task 2 properly and correctly. Okay, and then the last but not the least, that is speaking. Okay, and speaking, we have got about 15 minutes in total. Okay, and then there are three parts. Okay, and part one is normally about general questions like like what do you like to do in your free time, or what is your favorite instrument, or whatever it is. And then part two is about long term speaking. So you're gonna have like 2 minutes. You have to talk in 2 minutes non-stop. Okay, no interruption and everything. Okay, for sure. Like in 2 minutes you have to answer like certain questions, but yeah, you need to keep talking in 2 minutes. It's not really hard, because like talking in 2 minutes, that's pretty easy as long as you have got something what you have to write, what you have to speak, right? And then in part three, you will have some questions, and mostly the questions are topic related with part two. So you will have questions like a kind of, what do you call that? A discussion, okay, about the topic that you talked in part two. Okay, so it's basically not really hard, I guess, as long as you yeah, because it is normally about your opinion, it's about what you think about something, so it's not a big deal. Okay, yep. So that is about IELTS, about listening, reading, and then writing, and then also speaking. So I'm very happy that I can share this a very, very little short presentation with you. But please, if you've got any question, just don't hesitate to ask me the questions. Okay, just drop me the questions after this in the WhatsApp groups, and yeah. Also, if you want to check out more, you can also follow my Instagram account. That's in Alan's English. But yeah, like it's okay. Just go with it. Okay. Thank you so much, and I'm very welcome to your questions. Okay. Thank you.